These painful kinds of experiences often cause us to begin asking God some important questions. Most of the time, we start by asking Him a lot of why questions. Why is this happening to me? Why should I bother trying when there doesn't seem to be any marital improvement or change in my spouse? Talking with God about our troubles is good, and He welcomes a heart that seeks to understand His purposes. Jesus always responded to others' questions, especially those that came from people who were genuinely looking for truth. When God gives us His answers, however, we may not always like what He tells us. As most children do, I often asked my father, why? Why couldn't I stay out until 1 o'clock in the morning? Why did I have to stay home and work around the house? His two favorite responses were because I said so and because it's good for you. I never liked either one of those answers much. From my point of view, they were inadequate explanations. I always thought he said those things to get out of having to give me a real answer. Yet over the years, in part because I have become a parent myself, I have found profound truths in each of my father's short responses. The first one, because I said so, implies authority. Who is the I in that answer? It isn't just anybody who said so. It was my father who said so. Imagine one of your friends asking you to do something. When you question her about it, she replies, "Because I said so." What would be your reaction? I'd laugh aloud, or I might even be bold enough to say with a twinkle in my eye, "And who are you?" When my father said, "Because I said so," the statement assumed his authority and my need to trust and obey him, not because I understood him or agreed with him, but because he was my father. Perhaps he knew that I was too immature, too foolish, or too rebellious at the time to grasp the wisdom behind his decisions. I wasn't going to get it just then. I would simply have to choose whether I would trust his judgment and obey him. Throughout God's Word, people ask God why, and sometimes he responds just as my father did, "Because I said so." See, for example, Isaiah chapter 45, verses 5 through 12. This phrase is not the trite response of a God who has no better explanation. It is an answer overflowing with truth. It directs our attention away from our problem and toward the one who has the power and the authority to orchestrate the details of our lives. At times, God uses our circumstances to make us more aware of Him. Instead of asking why, we begin to ask, who is this one? God understands our deeper need in the situation. It isn't to know more of why, rather it is to know more of Him. Job experienced this transformation. After Job lost his children, his wealth, and his health, he asked God why. He didn't understand. What had he done to deserve this kind of hardship, this kind of hurt? Through Job's ordeal, he never lost his faith, but he did get more and more insistent upon an answer to his question. After a very long silence, God answered Job, but not with the answer Job wanted. God replied to Job with a long series of his own questions, in essence asking Job, "Are you God? Can you know all things, do all things, be all things?" See Job chapters 38 through 41. God finally cornered Job. Will the one who contends with the Almighty correct him? Let him who accuses God answer him. Job chapter 40, verse 2. Job began to grasp the moment. Instead of looking for answers, he was now looking at God. In stunned silence, he covered his mouth with his hand. Job's transformation began, and instead of demanding answers from God, Job worshipped Him. Sometimes, in the midst of our marital pain and confusion, God moves us toward a greater knowledge and a deeper experience of Him. It is often in the middle of our search for the answer to why that He begins to redirect our attention. Instead of asking why, we turn and start asking God what. What can we learn about God and our life from this experience? We ask God for a stronger faith to believe Him and to trust and obey Him even when we don't understand. We also begin to ask if there is a greater purpose for our life other than marital bliss and a happy family life. We want to understand what God might be doing in us.